1-669-241-5882. What you gonna do? 1-669-241-5882. Now that's an airworm. This is USA Dispatch number 3 with a little bit of CDMX sprinkled in there. Hola, mi cabrones. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué pedo? How are you? I hope you're thriving. As always, maybe I'll get t-shirts made that say, I hope you're thriving. Would you buy that? Let me know. onefjefpod@gmail.com. I'm back in Mexico City at long last in my new apartment here. The Terrace, it's truly a game changer. The apartment is smaller and there's no oven. There's a microwave oven, but there's no, real oven. But the oven at my last place didn't work anyway. So what difference does it make? It doesn't make any difference. I am still recovering from the elevation, readjusting to it. That is, it's not as bad as it was the first time. I think because you never really, if I was only gone for like 2.5 weeks, so it never really readjusts back to, you know what I mean. Am I going to start to say, you know what I mean all the time, just so because I don't want to explain it, because I'm too lazy to explain to you, my listeners? Maybe. Anyway, you do know what I mean. But I did forget about the farting. And it's something nobody really talks about in any of the, not that I've seen anyway, in the, the Mexico City, moving to Mexico City TikToks and Instagram reels and so forth and so on. Nobody talks about the farting. But there is a good deal of farting in the first few days for most people once you move to a higher elevation from sea level. What I'm trying to tell you is that I was farting a lot yesterday and this morning and on the plane. I think people fart more on planes because of this as well. Just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about visiting Mexico City or moving here. You will fart a lot for the first few days. And you may have a pounding headache. You've been warned. You've been warned. Jonathan did make it to Vancouver. I think he's just started to hitchhike again now to somewhere else, to the capital of British Columbia or something with his sister. But I have a bunch of his voice memos that I'm going to play in this episode. And thank you to my new Patreon subscriber. You know who you are. And if you yourself have not yet subscribed to the Patreon page, please do so. $5 a month or $25 a month or $1 million a month. Patreon.com/onefjef. You get access to extra content, early access to new episodes, etc., etc. You've heard me talk about it. Patreon.com/onefjef. Thank you so much to my continuing subscribers. I really appreciate it. And to all my new listeners, of which there are quite a few. Welcome. Welcome to the 1FJEF party. Welcome to the 1FJEF fiesta. Welcome to the 1FJEF nation. Sovereign nation. We have our own currency. That currency is on patreon.com/1FJEF. Thank you very much. And I haven't said this in a while, so I'm going to do it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Here's Jonathan, somewhere in the United States.
I want to talk about what I learned from all this. It is that life happens outside of your comfort zone and not within. Life doesn't happen in your routines, in your everyday life. It happens the further you go outside of your comfort zone, the more you will remember it, the more it will mean to you. This journey probably brought me the furthest outside of my comfort zone I've ever been. I traveled a place which probably it's not hard to always see while listening to me, I guess. I'm not the most drawn to the USA. Structurally, I don't talk about the people. They've been amazing. But structurally, at least for me, is not attractive at all. You could pay me $1 million, $10 million. I wouldn't move here. But what this place did, due to probably being so fucked up as well, it brought me very far outside of my comfort zone. It got me places I could have never imagined. I'm not even done. I still have a 15-16 hour ride ahead of me. I will try to finish it up, and I will probably cry when I cross the border to Canada. But what this also taught me, unlike a lot of things I did before in my life, it sounds stupid. It sounds like one of the things you write on one of those things an American would wear on a t-shirt. It's like, just do it. Nah, Nike already put that on a t-shirt, fuck. But I didn't prepare myself for that. I didn't even plan the route. I didn't know where to go. I didn't even have a tent. I just had a mattress, a sleeping bag, little money, and willpower. And this fucking brought me here. It brought me exactly where I wanted to be, out of control and outside of my comfort zone. It taught me that you have to fight for what you like in every aspect of life. I try to live outside of my comfort zone, starting today. Big words, little guy. Peace out, guys.
The United States has done an amazingly good job at making it very easy to not have real-world experience, to not have to interact with anyone, to be able to isolate yourself in a profound way, and has also done a very good job at portraying the world, the real world, the outside world, the world where you have to interact with other humans, as a scary place, as a dangerous place, as a place that maybe you shouldn't go out into lest you fall victim to one of the many news stories that they play on the local evening news every night. Which, if you've never seen the local evening news in the United States, it is truly something to behold. It's 30 minutes long, usually at about 6 p.m. Of course, there's now one at 5, there's one at noon, all these local news stations, because old people are addicted to the news. I've said it, and it's true. But this local news, a friend of mine used to work at a TV station. And she said their motto, this is 30 years ago probably, their motto was, if it bleeds, it leads. But now I would say that motto would be, if it bleeds or terrifies or keeps the public afraid or worried, then that's the local news for the whole night. Except for a brief respite where we talk about the local sporting teams, and another brief respite when we talk about the weather. But the weather also can be terrifying. They do their best to do that too. You get a little storm coming through. Everybody be careful. There might be some power outages. My mom's got 3 flashlights, so she's ready. And I'm sure many people are ready at any moment for something horrible to befall them, because that's what they're seeing on the news. That's what the news is conditioning them to believe about the world outside, the real world, the world of messiness and human interaction and all of that, which certainly can be scary. It can also be beautiful. It can also be wonderful. I would argue it's mostly beautiful and wonderful out there in that real world than it is scary. But try convincing that to most people who spend too much time watching the evening news. Be afraid. Be afraid of illegal immigrants. Be afraid of random criminals in your neighborhood. Be afraid of the weather. Be afraid of these horrible politicians. Be afraid of Donald Trump, of course. Be afraid of Iran. Whatever. Be afraid of something. Afraid. Because afraid and fear, both the same thing. Great job, Jeff. These things keep a populace in line. These things keep a populace obedient and quiet. You keep them afraid and comfortable, and they'll be cool. They won't bother you. And we're seeing that right now. They learned the lesson from the breadlines, right? They learned just keep them comfortable enough so that they don't really realize what's going on at the top here, the level of corruption, the level of completely working against their own best interests, the interests of the population. Just keep them comfortable. Let's lower the price of TVs. Let's practically give TVs away. I don't know, my friends. It's like uncomfortably comfortable to me. Went to a Target earlier today. It was the middle of the day, but it was like a ghost town in there. There was a woman pushing a cart around with a screaming child in it. What were you doing in Target, Jeff? Mind your own business. But I think she was one of the only, 1 or 5 or 10 people in that Target today. And just shelves full of things to buy. Full! So many things you can buy. So many different varieties of the things you can buy. So even when you go to buy something, you're overwhelmed by the number of choices that you have. Which toothpaste do I get? Do I get tartar control? Do I get whitening? Anyway, moral of the story is... The moral of the story. I don't know what the moral of the story is. I mean, the ultimate moral of the story, in terms of the podcast and the arc and the philosophy, would be get out of your comfort zone. Get out into the world. Experience life. This magical, random thing that happened to all of us. Existence. It's insane. It's insane if you think about it. The odds of this happening, me and you, listener, existing at all, but existing at this same exact time in the universe. We could be cats. We could come back as cats. Maybe we will. I would like to come back as a cat. That'd be a great animal to come back at, because cats seem like they're having a wonderful life. Like, dogs seem happy, often, but then there's anxiety with dogs. Some of them just need to have something to do, or they just get lazy and then they start barking about food. Cats will get a little finicky about food and meow at you, but they're not going to get too crazy. They're not going to start screaming at you. Then you got to go to the vet, though, so that's not great. But that's one day out of the year that's going to be bad for the cat. The other 364 days are just existing, philosophizing in their head about other cats or humans, or I don't know. Moral of the story is, when you go to the store to buy toothpaste, know which toothpaste you're going to buy before you walk in that door.
Greetings from the border of Idaho to Washington. I'm still in Idaho, though. I'm staying in this huge villa with panorama lake view. Shit is just getting out of hand. I'm not kidding. So the past 4 days I spent with Kim, riding her side by side down the devil's dunes of Idaho. We said goodbye to each other this morning. I wrote her a letter as a thank you. She cried. It was quite emotional. We forgot to exchange contacts, I figured, half an hour after she left. So I will probably never see her again, but I will most definitely never forget her. This sounds stupid and maybe selfish, but I think I taught her a lot about the world. And I think she appreciated that. We had an interesting way to communicate. The moment I got into her car, I fall asleep. I felt comfortable. She very much seemed like an incarnation of my dead grandmother. My grandmother was also a rich, super fit, crazy lady, and Kim was too. And very nice, very nice. And today, she dropped me off at a gas stop, 50 minutes from the dunes. Again, we said goodbye. I smoked a cigarette and went on. And then a couple picked me up pretty quickly, actually, after maybe 15 minutes. And they brought me up until back on I-90, all the way through Idaho up to Montana on I-90. At one point they pulled over to get some rocks and got another ride with, I forgot her name, but also a nice lady. But also, she was also collecting rocks, stones. I don't know. Is this a thing in Montana? I don't fucking know. Well, this copy before was from Maine, so... But do people come to Montana to collect rocks? She brought me a bit further west, back into Idaho. got me a bison burger and a Huckleberry milkshake. I never had Huckleberry shit before, but it's awesome. After we finished our burger, we said goodbye to one another, and I went on. It was almost like 8, it was past 8, it was almost 9ish. So I figured I may have like half an hour to may hitch a ride further west. But I figured I won't get one, but I gave it a shot anyways. And then Molly pulled over. She never picked up the hitchhiker before. Asked me if I will murder her, if I'm a mass murderer. I said no. She invited me into her car. We had a chat. And after some time passed, and the sun was going down, she invited me to her place, to stay at her place for a night. I think it was a spontaneous random decision. She said since she's 50, she's living life a bit differently and is getting less scared because time is running out, and she still wanna do lots of shit she never done before. So she just picked me up and invited me to her home, and she lives in this huge, beautiful mansion on a hill with like, I forgot the name of the lake, but the lake is probably 30 miles long. It kind of looks like the northern version of Lago di Garda in Italy. It's beautiful. The sun sets to her right, and the sun rises to her left. Just a perfect view over the entire lake. A couple stories, way too much space, and she lives here on her own. I don't fucking know why luck is chasing me so hard. I can sleep in a fucking bed. No bugs for me tonight. Friendly Empire. Say yes more often. I will say yes more often in the future. Open up a bit. Life is outside of your comfort zone. But this bed pretty much is very comforting. Peace.
I am still unpacking, and it is raining. It does rain every day during the rainy season. The rumors are true. I have not been here during rainy season yet, but I mean, I'm here during rainy season now, and what everybody says is accurate. It rains every day at about 5 o'clock. Tonight it was like clockwork, 5 o'clock, boom, rain. Some days it rains more than other days. Yesterday it was a torrential downpour. And it's kind of nice, really, because I can open my sliding glass doors and just listen to the rain until it gets too bad, and then I have to close them because the rain starts coming in. Anyway, enough about my apartment. Needless to say, I'm happy. What I'm not happy with is the fact that my landlord of my last apartment is not apparently giving me my deposit back. So I begin to ask myself, is it worth the trouble to find a lawyer here in Mexico to send him a threatening letter of some sort? Because I am in the right. He is in the wrong. I'm not going to explain it, why, but I know I am. And I think he thinks he has the leverage here because he is a Mexican living in Mexico. But the reality is I don't think that he does. He's violating the law, and the law protects tourists and short-term residents as well as citizens of Mexico. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the trouble for 21,000 pesos. Part of me thinks it's worth it just for the principle of the thing. More than anything, it just bums me out. It was like the first place I rented here in Mexico City, and I think I did everything right. I was nice. I was, I gave him all the notification, everything, but he's just being a dick, and it just bums me out. I just kind of got to let it go. Part of me is like, just don't bother because I don't want to have to deal with this negativity for longer. But part of me is like, you know what? Fuck him. I'm going to show him.
I made it to Seattle. I made it. I'm not even 2 hours away from the border in North Bend, Washington. it's not exactly Seattle. I let myself get dropped off before Seattle because I'm trying to, like, there's a street which is taking me around Seattle more or less, trying to avoid Seattle because the sun is setting slowly though, but soonish, and I don't want to be stuck in downtown Seattle this night. I actually hope to make it to Canada today. Like, I really do hope that I will make it. Go to North Bend, Washington. There's nothing much to do. There's a theater and a coffee shop, but people look cool. And it's the first time I see people walking. Like, actually, like, pedestrians, and a good bunch of them in small town America. I just called my sister. She said, well, I think you're getting close to Canada. Today, I had 4 rides. And 2 of those rides they landed on the streets within 3 weeks because of an injury. That's how quick it goes in the US. They were both working in construction, and their life story was very similar. Both of them were very smart, just searching for answers for the misery and the wrong. They were digging in the wrong holes. They had some conspiracies going up, and I figured they were pretty smart. Like, they had some knowledge, and when they were not talking about their conspiracy theories, they were actually like pretty well educated, but they didn't seem to like put it all together. There was a lack of critical thinking, and I think this is a weird symptom of a lot of people. Like, they have loads of knowledge, but they just can't put it together. He was like contradicting his arguments all the time, like hating on homeless but understanding the homeless crisis, hating on, like, I first thought he was racist, then he wasn't racist at all, and actually understood the structural causes to some of the conflicts going on in the country, but he just couldn't put it together. The both of them couldn't piece the shit together. I don't blame this on the US. I think it's the same in Germany. I hope to leave the US today. It's been treating me really good, honestly. Friendly empire.
I took a walk last night around my new neighborhood while I was trying to finish this episode. I've been trying to finish this episode for like 2 or 3 days. But as I was taking a walk last night, I thought, as soon as I finish this one, I just got to start the next one. And I realized that I need to take a break. That the best thing that I could do for this podcast right now is to take a short break and retool myself. Retool my ideas of what the podcast is and is going to be, and so forth and so on. So, with that, the podcast is going on a hiatus for 1 month. The podcast will return the week of August 16th. Until then, I'll be re-releasing some of my favorite older episodes. I think I've got enough of a catalog to justify that. And also, that's what people do when their podcast is on hiatus. They re-release older episodes. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. So I appreciate you understanding. And I hope you enjoy the re-releases that'll be coming out the next several weeks. So there you go. I also want to thank Jonathan once again for sending me dispatches from his hitchhiking journey across the United States. Congratulations on making it to Canada. If you'd like to ask a question, express a concern, express confusion, express anger, express happiness, joy, whatever you want, send me an email at the podcast, onefjefpod@gmail.com. You can also leave a voicemail at 1-669-241-5882. I actually recorded another version of this outro before I realized I was taking a hiatus, and there's a much better version of the phone number song. One of the best. I'm going to play that here. 1-669-241-5882. What you gonna do? 1-669-241-5882. Now that's an earworm, right? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, call that number. And as always, like, rate, subscribe, and review. If you haven't done it, do it now. If you have done it, do it again. More than once. Keep doing it over and over and over. I'm going to end this episode with another poem from Rumi, Rumaford E. Rumi, the room machine, Signor Rumaford. Anyway, you get it. Rumi. It's called Quietness. Inside this new love, die. Your way begins on the other side. Become the sky. Take an axe to the prison wall. Escape. Walk out like someone suddenly born into color. Do it now. You're covered with thick cloud. Slide out the side. Die and be quiet. Quietness is the surest sign that you've died. Your old life was a frantic running from silence. The speechless full moon comes out now. I'll see you guys in a month.
Very good, Jeffrey.